This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow. We are your hosts. My name is Truck. This is Shane O'Mac. You can find me at fantasy_trucker. You can find him at smccormick_ff. Make sure you follow the show at Fantasy Roadshow. Check us out on Substack, thefantasyroadshow.substack.com. Shane, how are you doing on this beautiful Sunday football morning?
Doing great, man. I woke up. I had my waffles with peanut butter already before kickoff. So awesome. I am feeling good.
Awesome. Well, we're getting into it today. We're talking last minute start sits. If you guys have any questions, comments, please don't hesitate. Ask away. We are here to answer your questions. Shane, what's just real quick? What's your favorite game this Sunday? Which game are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I'm kind of looking forward to that Rams-Eagles game. Like I'm intrigued, like obviously with Kupp coming back and what that means for Puka and seeing him. And I just think that's going to be a sneaky good game with some high point potential there too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, and I'm surprised you didn't say the Sunday Night Football game. Well, Cowboys 49ers. Are you not looking forward to that one?
It's always looking forward / nervous based off of recent history playing against the 49ers. So
yeah. Well, I am looking forward to that one. That one's going to be awesome. B. Cork, good morning, and thank you for your question. Morning, fellas. Pickens, Flowers, Watson. Full PPR, need one for my flex. Shane, why don't you start us off?
So we got one. So I'm gonna rule out Pickens all automatically going against the Ravens. I'm a little bit concerned about his quarterback play there. I would probably lean Christian Watson. The Raiders are horrible against the pass, and I have a feeling maybe that Baltimore-Pittsburgh game could be a little bit tilted towards the run game. So it's a slight lean to Watson. Flowers would be a very close second.
Yeah, and I think I differ from you here. I think I would go Zay Flowers over Watson. I just didn't see enough in that first game back to make me feel more comfortable than Flowers. But I completely get it. I think that connection with Watson and Jordan Love is going to develop more and more every game. So I could see that happening. And I think Jordan Love has a big game today. So I'm fine with Watson over Flowers, but I think I would probably lean Flowers.
Yeah, and that Pittsburgh, they just gave up a huge game to Nico Collins. So Flowers has definitely got potential against them. It's not the same Pittsburgh defense as we're used to seeing.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point. All right. If you guys have any more questions, please feel free to join in. I have a question for you, Shane.
Yeah.
And this is an ugly question. Asking for a friend. Chuba Hubbard versus Zach Moss. Who would you like in this matchup? Zach Moss, obviously, with Jonathan Taylor coming back. Chuba Hubbard, obviously, with Miles Sanders dealing with a groin injury. Now, he is fully health, or they say he's not limited. He had a full participation on Friday. No injury designation going into this game. Who would you lean there?
I would probably do a slight lean to Chuba just because. I don't think Taylor's coming in with a full workload, but even if it is, let's say 50-50 or 60-40 split, that is coming against I think the second or third ranked run defense in the Titans that the Colts are playing. So even talking about limited carries, touches, but against a very, very strong run defense who's shut down about every running back. Passing game role is probably going to be limited for him, or at least Chuba could get you some receptions, I think, and in a PPR league help out there at least.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that, and I think I lean the same way. So I appreciate that for my friend. Appreciate that for my friend. We got a question here. Michael Kolzicki, good old Coles. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your question. Kyle Pitts or Jonnu Smith? Oh God, Shane, why don't you go ahead?
This is where we're at now. This is where we're at now, where the backup tight end on the Falcons has been outproducing the chosen one for the last 2 weeks. Oh man, I'm going to. He's outproduced in the last 2 weeks, but I'm still not in a place where I'm starting the backup over the starter. I'd probably. Honestly, I would pick up a streamer and start over one of these guys, but if you had to choose between the two, it still has to be Pitts for me.
I understand where you're going with there, but I just can't start Pitts anymore. I just can't. Jonnu Smith, 8 targets week 3, 6 targets week 4. He caught all of his targets last week, almost had 100 yards. It's kind of night and day difference with Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith. I'd be fine starting Jonnu Smith over Kyle Pitts, although there's probably a better option out there on the waiver wire for sure. So
yeah.
So good point. Thanks for your question, Culls. Casey Martin, start Kupp over Christian Watson. I'll go ahead and start here. Yes, absolutely. Start Cooper Kupp over Christian Watson. Kupp, they say he is not on a snap count. Is that correct, Shane?
Yeah.
So he's fully ready to go. And I think Matthew Stafford's really going to be targeting him his first game back, trying to get him acclimated right away. I think that's very important for their offense, and I would not hesitate starting Kupp this week at all. Thank you for your question.
Yeah.
PPR, pick 2 running backs, DeAndre Swift, Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, Joe Mixon. Go ahead, Shane. What do you got? Pick 2.
Wow. That is a stacked running back room on that team.
I agree.
For me, I'm going to take the easy one first. That's Montgomery. You've got, he should be having the bulk of the carries there. Gibbs is limited if he's going to play. He's dealing with the injury. But even if he does play, that's going to be a game script where they're up and leaning on Montgomery. And then in PPR, man, based off of recent last 2 weeks, I'd probably lean Swift over Henry. It's close, but Swift, I would say probably if you looked over the last 2-3 weeks, Swift has outproduced him. I know he had a great game last week, but it would be a slight lean for me for Swift over Henry. But I'd be curious to see who'd you take for that second one.
Obviously Montgomery is the go-to, and I think I would lean Derrick Henry. It'd be between Derrick Henry and DeAndre Swift. Derrick Henry had a great game last week, but he kind of struggled through the first 3 weeks outside of that. And DeAndre Swift has just kind of been on fire. So I know I just said lean Derrick Henry, but now I'm kind of tilting towards DeAndre Swift. So I think I would start comfortably DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery going into this week.
Yeah.
Coles wants to add trick question because that's a question in the league. We're playing Shane O'Mac. Yes, that is correct. We are starting Kyle Pitts, and we're working on some alternatives there, Shane. So appreciate your help against you this week. That's awesome. If we paid attention to that crap Fantrax app, we might have started Logan Thomas over Kyle Pitts. Green light, yes, absolutely, Coles. I think we missed out on that one.
There's the perfect.
I think we missed out on that one.
That would have been perfect streaming pickup.
Yeah. Best stashes. I'm looking for the best stashes. Are you talking, Casey? Are you talking pickups? If you have an injured player, you put them on IR and you're looking to stash someone just in case of an injury? Or can you give me a little bit more context there? I believe that's what you're asking, but I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction. Shane, is that what you think as well?
Yeah, I'm guessing, ahead of time to try to get ahead of waiver wires. And so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know if you have any idea here. I'm going to pull up a list real quick to give more of an accurate analysis here about what players would be available.
So the one that comes off the top of my head that I've picked up in a couple leagues that I think you could get ahead of yourself with is Keaton Mitchell for the Ravens.
Okay.
I don't know if he technically came off the IR this week. He was supposed to, but if he didn't, that's even better. You can pick him up and stash him on the IR. There's just a lot of buzz coming out of that camp this preseason about him. What I like about him is he's such a different skill set than any other running back that's there. He's very much like Devon Achane, that 4.3 speed, change of direction capabilities. So you could get ahead of the curve. You could pick him up and be ahead of the curve. And 2 weeks from now, he's maybe picking up 10, 12 carries and doing something with it. The other guy maybe you might look at, especially running back wise, is Ronnie Rivers. For the Rams, Kyron Williams has been a little bit banged up the last week and a half or so, had some limited practices. Rivers looked good last week. I don't remember his stat line, but I know he got more touches and rushes than he ever had in any game before. And he looked good with it, with his opportunity. So that could be a sneaky one to get ahead of also.
Yeah, I think those are great options that you just picked there. And as I was going through the list, I can't really identify many more than that. Honestly, usually when I go through this and I can't identify, I'll just go through and I'll pick a backup running back for a good team just in case of an injury. So, take your pick. It's a dart throw. You never know who's going to get injured, but if you grab them ahead of time, it works out really well.
Yeah.
Cole says Rashee Rice. Grab Rashee Rice if he's on the waiver wire. Absolutely. I was identifying running backs, but no, Cole brings up a great point. Wide receivers. Rashee Rice has been getting a lot more work lately, and he could be really developing as the number one wide receiver for the Chiefs, which will be valuable down the stretch of the season.
So what's interesting about him is, Watson and Moore and MVS, they are just doubling him up as far as snap counts, but Rice is actually like top 7 in the league in red zone targets. So
wow,
he's being targeted in the red zone. He's not getting a lot of huge snap counts, but when I see something like that with the red zone targets, it kind of makes me think maybe those snap counts and those targets are going to start increasing for him each week. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Great point there, Coles. We appreciate the input. Keep it up. All right. Well, I have another question for you, Shane, for a friend. This is a strange question, and I feel like I shouldn't be asking this question, but I feel like I need to as well. It's Miles Sanders or the up and coming running back Jaleel McLaughlin.
Oh.
So do you like Miles Sanders' starting role that is kind of shaky as of the last couple of weeks, or do you like the ascending talent of Jaleel McLaughlin and on a Broncos offense that scores decent amount of points each week?
So I think from what I was looking at, I think there's a good chance Javonte Williams is going to be sitting this week today. Now, you'll probably, unfortunately, with Sanders being the noon game, you won't be able to have that information on hand. But he was limited and didn't get much practice time in this week. I'm assuming he's not playing. It was a hip injury, I think it was last week. I think they sit him for a week. I would lean on the potential of Jaleel McLaughlin. He looked really good. He's kind of similar. It's a similar situation, a similar player to Keaton Mitchell's. Why I keep bringing him up as somebody to stash is he's got such a different skill set than Javonte and Samaje Perine. He's got so much more explosiveness. I feel like, he could give you 6 points off of one 60-yard run at any point in time, whereas Miles Sanders, it is going to be, you're going to have to rely on a heavy amount of touches to get points.
Yeah, absolutely. Shane, do you have any stuff going on from our Discord channel? Any questions from there that we can pull up?
Let me see if we've got any more.
I see the one here. We have Flowers or Hopkins PPR. So Flowers or DeAndre Hopkins PPR. Where are you leaning in that question?
Boy, it's I know Hopkins got a good matchup against the Colts. I think they're third or fourth most points to outside receivers, but I'm going with Flowers. Hopkins, yeah, he gets a great target share, but the production's not been there. That quarterback play is not great. And I actually don't think it's a bad thing for Flowers that that Beckham's back and that Bateman's back. I mean, he produced that first week or two when they were there. I don't think it's a bad thing. It takes a little bit less attention off of him, I think. So,
yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, B Cork, OBJ, and Bateman are active. Yes. Yeah, that's why we're saying it's not necessarily a bad thing for Zay Flowers, so don't be scared off of that narrative. And then I see another one we have here. He says, I have Cup, Puka, Ridley, and AJ Brown. I can only play 3. Do I really roll with Puka and Cup over Ridley right out of the gate? Now, obviously Ridley's playing right now, so but if this question was asked prior to the game, where would you lean?
So he wants 3, and he was AJ Brown is for sure 1.
Yes. So basically, yeah, pick 2 between Cup, Puka, and Ridley.
You know, I don't know. For this week and going forward, I'm not afraid of Puka losing value in leagues. I don't think so. Stafford's averaged over 40 passes a game, so the volume is there. You know, I would have probably leaned with the Rams, not knowing what Ridley was going to do in this early game, but I would have leaned with the Rams guys just because the Eagles, not great against the pass. They're like 27th in the league passing yards allowed. Rams probably going to be throwing and to stay in that game. I'm fine with having to start both Rams guys.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I hope whoever asked this question stuck with those Puka, Cup, and AJ Brown. For me, Ridley's just kind of been struggling, as we've seen recently in the games. Yes, he scored a touchdown last week, but only had 2 receptions. And this Jaguars offense as a whole has just kind of been struggling. And going against a tough matchup with the Bills, that would have scared me off Ridley enough to ride with Puka and Cup, not Koopa. Combining them. Yeah, but I think there's room for both of them to be successful in this offense. I mean, Stafford in previous years has been supporting multiple wide receivers. It's not, that was before it was Cooper Cup because, there wasn't much other talent behind him. And now Puka seems to be on a hot streak to start the season. So, yeah, I'm not afraid of starting Cup and Puka in the same lineup.
Yeah.
I like this Rams offense. They score a lot of points, and Stafford throws a lot of yards. So I'm cool with that.
Yep.
Shane, do you have any questions about your lineups or friends' lineups?
Okay. Yeah. So here's a question.
Okay.
Start in your flex spot, Desmond Ridder or Jameel McLaughlin? Take your bias hat off.
Yes. No, I am. Honestly, I think I'm going to go with Jaleel McLaughlin. Desmond Ridder, there's a chance, and I think this is a legitimate chance, that Desmond Ridder gets benched this game and in comes Taylor Heineke. I mean, how many weeks can you just go with a quarterback not doing well week in and week out? It's kind of like what was on pace with the Jets, the Bears. Now, those quarterbacks turned it around and they started being successful. But Ridder is just far beyond the worst quarterback in the league right now. He's performing as the worst, and I just don't trust him in any facets. And honestly, if he does fail today in the first half, I could see Taylor Heineke coming in and actually performing really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Coles, don't answer. We're playing him. Okay, a trick question, I guess. Okay, sorry, Coles, I didn't realize.
Okay, one more. I've got one more for you on the choose your potential limited running back touches for this week. You've got Alexander Madison playing the Chiefs, or Jonathan Taylor coming back in limited touches against the Titans.
So who's going to have more limited touches?
Right. So does Akers cut as much into Madison's workload as the touches that Jonathan Taylor is going to be limited to in his first week back?
I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor has more touches than Alexander Madison. They're going to want to get, very similar to Cooper Kupp, they're going to want to get Jonathan Taylor acclimated pretty quickly. And especially with this contract that just went through, they're gonna focus on him pretty heavily. Now, Zach Moss will not be shelved completely. He performed really well in the absence of JT, so Zach Moss will eat into some touches. But I think on the verse side, they're going to try to get Cam Akers more acclimated in this offense. So I think Alexander Mattison, he did pretty well over the last 2 weeks, but I think he ends up with less touches than Jonathan Taylor. So to answer your question, Alexander Mattison would be more limited today, in my opinion.
And part of me just can't stomach the fact if I sit there and I see Jonathan Taylor on my bench and puts up 16 points or something, where that would probably be a great career day for Madison this year.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, they both got decently tough matchups. I would say that Jonathan Taylor has the harder matchup going against the Tennessee defensive line. They're really good at stopping the run. And Alexander Mattison has the Chiefs. But, the Chiefs defense has been pretty good lately. So, but yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor's good enough to overcome a bad matchup, as we've seen in the past, And supposedly he's fully healthy. We haven't seen a fully healthy Jonathan Taylor in a while. And last time we did, he was really, really good. MVP candidate. So, yeah, I'd be expecting that. All you people that drafted Jonathan Taylor in with that murky situation can finally rejoice in a successful Jonathan Taylor, in my opinion. So, I like those.
Okay.
I don't really have any other questions here. Let me know if you guys watching have any other questions on your mind. But other than that, Shane, do you got anything else you want to talk about? Any other hot points?
The other news, if anyone happened to gloss over, it came out early this morning. Khalil Herbert, high ankle sprain, so he's going to miss multiple weeks.
Great point.
Don't forget Roschon Johnson's in the concussion protocol. Maybe or maybe not, since he does have extra days. He may not be out of it to play next week. So if you're in a desperate bind, I don't know who they play next week, but Foreman could be a 1 week pick up and play guy if you had to have somebody in a desperate situation.
I believe they play the Minnesota Vikings in Chicago, which is going to be a good game. And I really, really hope Roschon Johnson is healthy for this game and he gets the starting workload. And I can't wait to see what he would do with that.
Yeah,
but no, it'll be tough. Sunday Night Football stream tonight. Absolutely, we're doing a Sunday Night Football stream tonight at 7:30. Coles and I will be going live. Maybe Shane O'Mac will make an appearance. And it's Cowboys 49ers, so it'll be a great game. It would be awesome to hear your opinion about what's going on in that game. And we'll also be discussing everything that went on during the Sunday slate at noon and 3. I am traveling to Toledo, Ohio. I'll be leaving home probably around 2 or 3 o'clock and hopefully getting to the hotel around 7. So I'll be scrambling to get ready to go for that game. But I'm excited for that game. It's going to be awesome. How do you see that game playing out? Just as a foreshadow, or how do you see? Like, I know, speaking as a Cowboys fan, like I know you mentioned that you're nervous going into the game, but how do you see this game playing out, game script wise, for tonight?
I feel like this is going to be, I don't know what the over under is, but it's probably under. I think you're looking at like a 2016, 2017 type of game. Not high scoring. I just read a report this morning that Deebo Samuel is still limited with his injury, and probably will not be at 100% tonight. So if I'm the Cowboys, I'm putting all my attention on Brandon Ayuk. They've got some great safeties that should be able to match up with George Kittle, and McCaffrey. It is what it is. You can do what you can to try to limit him, but he can get the ball in so many different ways, and besides carries. So I just think it's going to be a close game. I really like if you're streaming tight ends, if you've already picked him up, I think Jake Ferguson has a sneaky good game. In this,
I slid him in my lineup in a couple leagues. I'm hoping he has a big game.
Yeah, Dak's not going to be wanting to turn the ball over like he did in the playoff game last year where he turned it all twice. So I see a lot more safe passes to Ferguson in the middle of the field. But it's going to be, I don't see it as a blowout. I see it as a close game going into the fourth quarter, which will just be awful for my blood pressure and nerves. So.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how Brock Purdy plays. This is going to be his toughest defense he goes against in his career, really. He's been on a hot streak, I think 15 or 16 games, regular season wins in a row, and he hasn't played a defense of this caliber yet. So I'm excited to see how the 49ers offense does against this Cowboys defense, who has been top tier this year. So I'll be looking forward to that, and hopefully everybody can join us. If you guys have any other questions real quick, you want to chime in. Otherwise, we're going to head out of here. Coles wanted to chime in and say, I'm going to have half a brain, but buckle up. Yes. Coles was in Dallas at the Texas State Fair for the Red River rival game. Unfortunately, Texas lost. Oklahoma won. I know Coles is probably still mourning that loss. But we'll be excited to hear his opinion about what happened. I definitely want to hear some stories about the Texas State Fair. So it seemed fun. Other than that, we appreciate you guys joining, watching, listening. We will be back every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. talking last minute start sits, answering any questions you guys might have. So join us next week, and join us tonight as well at 7:30 for our Sunday night live stream. Shane O'Mac, Coles, and Truck will be here. We'll be answering all your questions, getting into it, talking about what just happened, bragging about lineups. Hopefully, the road show is beating Shane O'Mac in that league we have together, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So, Shane, I appreciate you joining us this morning, and good luck in our matchup.
Yep, we'll see it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody, buckle up.